So here is the problem that we're addressing. So it's section 5E, number 5, where we're told that 4,000 euros is invested in an account that pays 1.2% interest per quarter. And at this time, inflation averages at 0.5% per quarter. So we need to find the real rate of interest per year and then find the real value of the investment after 5 years. So what we're going to do for this first part is going to write down what we know. And so we know that we're looking at 4,000 euros. That's how we're starting. So that's our starting amount. Okay. And then we're told that we have two types of interest, or really we have two percentages that we're looking at. So the first is going to be an interest that is 1.2%, and that is going to be applied quarterly. So it's going to be with a 4. And then we also have our rate of inflation. So I'm going to designate that with an F. And that's at 0.5%, and it is also introduced quarterly, okay? So for this first part where we're going to find the real rate of our per interest, or real rate of interest per year, we need to take a look at the difference between the amount that this account will be at after a full year of interest with 1.2% and then a full year of inflation. So we're going to compare those two and the difference between your inflation and the interest rate. That difference between the two, that is going to be your real rate, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. So that means that for looking at the interest portion, so I'm going to designate this with a T. I'm going to have the 4,000. And I'm going to take this as compounded quarterly. So that means I'm going to have the 1 plus 0, 1, 2, okay? And that's going to happen 4 times over, okay? So this is just how it ends up playing out, you guys. So you're going to have it with it happening 4 times over. I know you've seen in other setups where we've divided it, but in this case, we're just going to take it as straight on, okay? And so when I do that on my calculator, got my trusty graphing calculator over here. I'm going to raise that to the 4th. Okay, so it's going to give me 4195.484. Okay, let's do the same process again now with the inflation amount. Okay, so now I've got my 4,000 euros and I'm applying that 0.5%, doing that 4 times over, okay? And so when I do that 4 times over in here, I'm just gonna make this easy for myself. I'm gonna do 4,000, and that's 1 plus 0.65 to the 4th. Okay, so I'm getting that 4080.602. So 4,080 and 602. Okay, so just like that. So now I'm going to take a difference between these two amounts. That's going to be that real rate of interest that I'm going to be using it to figure out. Okay, so that means I have the 4,195.44. Subtracting from that the 4,080. 602, and when I pop that in here, see if I can be cool. So I'm going to do that answer minus my 4,080, 602. Okay, so that's going to give me that 114.881. Okay, I'm going to make it 8817. All right, and so this difference, that's telling me how much my interest really was. Now, to figure out what that was in terms of a percentage, okay, so this is our real gain. So to figure out how much that was in terms of a percentage, we're going to compare it. There we go. We're going to compare it to our inflation amount. So this is acting as our base. Again, we're starting from inflation and then it hops up to interest. So that means we're going to take this 114 2.8817 and divide it by that 4,080.602. So 114.8817 over 4,080.602. And we do that in here. Let it focus. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to take this answer and divide it by 4,080.02, and there we go. So there is my 2.82% right there. Okay. So that is how we get that 2.82%. Okay, so that's going to be considered our real rate of interest per year. So per annum. Okay. Now to do part B, you're going to take this rate of interest because it's your real rate, because it wants you to find your real value of the investment after 5 years. So we're going to take this amount, and the great thing is that it is happening once every year. So I don't have to do any adjusting to this. It's just going to happen once every year. So that means I'm going to go back to the beginning, my 4,000 euros, and I'm going to apply this 2.82% interest and do it over 5 years. Because again, that is going to be based on the number of years I'm doing this. All right. So once I do that, 4,000. Then I'll add in my answer. Cool deal. And then take that up to the fifth. Cool. And then there it is, 4,595 and basically 67 cents. Okay. So that gives me 4,595.67 euros. Okay. So that is how we get those answers for part A and part B. So the key to this was realizing that when the interest was happening here quarterly, it was talking about that being the interest every single quarter. So you weren't dividing this by 4 and then raising it to the fourth. You're just simply applying that 1.2% at the end of 3 months, and then at the end of 6 months, at the end of 9 months, at the end of 12 months. And that's how you were getting those amounts. So take those two, subtract it, compare that difference to your inflated amount, and that gives you your real rate of percentage. Then you can take that percentage, apply it to your original financed amount, do it for 5 years, and boom, there it is. So hope that helps.